Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining what I consider to be the most crucially significant section of our impact track here at Cardano 2021. The hottest potato in the room is expressed by the very title of this session. And yes, there is a pun intended here. So we will be talking about climate, environment, and social impact. So we know that global warming is an existential threat that we have been warned by, from climate scientists for a long time. To paraphrase Carl Sagan, in his genius and brilliance, he compared climate scientists to Cassandra. In the Greek mythology, Cassandra was endowed with the gift of prophecy by Apollo. However, she was also cursed because she refused her advances. She was cursed so that nobody believes her. So Carl Sagan thought climate scientists have Cassandra's fate. They were warning us and nobody believed them. And here we are. Year after year, the hottest year, the biggest hurricanes, fires, and so on and so forth, all posing existential threat to the planet and humanity. In this section, we are going to explore how technology can help the transition to an environmentally friendly economy. Increase our hopes that this is still possible in the 12th hour. We will be talking to Ferdinand Sylvester from the United Nations Development Programme about how blockchain can incentivize plastic recycling by tracking and in this way solve a huge problem in India where he is based. We will be talking about redefining impact investing with James Spence from the Libra Project and about tokenization of natural assets in order to incentivize their replenishment with Yan Cho, who is the founder and CEO of Ecofolio. And last but not least, because we are a blockchain company and we want to be environmentally friendly, we will be talking to Rafael Laurelli from Offsetra about how can we measure the carbon footprint of blockchains? We know that with the Bitcoin blockchain being environmentally unfriendly, this is another critical aspect. So in order to make blockchain work for the environment, we need to address this issue. I am so happy to have with us our moderator, Matthias, who is from Decrypt, and he is going to lead the conversation in this crucial section. Thank you, Matthias. The mic is to you.
Well, hello. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Mihaela, thank you very much for introducing me. And just really quick, my name is Matthew Deemer. I'm the host of the Decrypt Daily for Decrypt Media at decrypt.co. And I'm very happy about this conversation. As a congressional candidate in Ohio's 16th district over here, running for Congress in 2022, climate change is very important to me. And I want to make sure that we are not only building green jobs, but also making sure that we are fixing the environment. And you know what? The only way we can do that is by bright minds, making sure that we are focusing on technology and moving this conversation forward. And I want to hear about your companies. Ferdinand, let's start with you since that's the order that we went with. I want to hear about your company, sir.
Thank you, Matthew. So I work with UNDP, or United Nations Development Program, and we have implemented a project called the Plastic Waste Management Program in India, which primarily deals with dry and plastic waste. So in India, this project has been implemented in more than 35 cities, and till date, we have processed more than 75,000 metric tons of plastic waste. Now, I think a lot of us know that India has had a waste problem, but it is also a problem of contradictions. Because on one side, in India, we have a lot of illegal dump sites and we have waste burning in the open. All right, but also India has one of the highest plastic recycling rates in the world, which is 60%, compared to even countries like the US, the United States of America, which is below 10% recycling of plastic happens. And also in India, you see people working in waste with no protective gear, or they are working in unsafe environments, and they are usually from a lower end of socio-economic strata. Yet the same informal underground waste system is actually very highly organized and coordinated. So UNDP and our project is trying to fix this dichotomy, because there is a flaw in the system somewhere, right? There's a gap somewhere, and there needs to be a new approach, a fresh set of ideas, a degree of formalization and organization that needs to come into the system. So there's no waste going out of the system. There's no leakage of waste into the oceans or into the landfills or in any open area. So that's what the project is doing in India at the moment. This could be, things like bringing in innovation, or doing the last mile connectivity from the waste source to a recycler or a manufacturer of plastic product, or it could also be adding value to plastics that have no value, like the MLP or the single-use multi-layer plastic, which has no value, therefore is not recycled and you find it dumped. So this new systems approach is what UNDP is trying to bring into the waste ecosystem of India.
Ferdinand, thank you very much for that. Next, I want to ask James, the founder of Libra Project, to talk about your project and what you're doing and what projects are you initiating to help this crisis.
Yeah, so with Libra Project, we are a renewable energy company. And if we look at one of the biggest problems we have is actually funding renewable energy projects. So what Libra Project is looking at doing is tokenizing renewable energy projects and creating a platform that is for the people. There's a real problem that investors at the moment can't get access to invest directly into a renewable energy project unless you're a multi-millionaire. There's a real sort of a lack of access to the people on the ground. So our People's Platform has been designed to allow access into impact investing. And crucially, there's a lot of stories out there about greenwashing and about impact not being reported. So using the latest in technology and using IoT devices and blockchain, we can capture data at source of the projects that we manage, feed that data back live into blockchain, and also then broadcast that live to our digital security holders. So it creates a whole ecosystem from end to end, channeling money and accelerating money into impact projects that are designed to deliver the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
James, thank you very much for that. Ian, the CEO of Ecofolio, I would love to hear about your project as well.
Thank you very much, Matthew. It's a real honor to be here. At Ecofolio, we call ourselves a mission-driven fintech company that have made it our mission to make forest assets, starting with that, tradable and liquid using blockchain technology. Well, the case for this is that forests being really fundamental to our civilization. In some ways, they are the perfect asset, right? They're stable, they are long-term, they preserve life, they pull carbon from the atmosphere, they maintain groundwater. But as assets, for all the things that they do, they take really long time to grow, somewhere between 20 to 65 years, and basically in the entire period that they are growing, they are illiquid. We started Ecofolio with the idea that we could change this quite fundamentally using blockchain technology, and that decentralized finance can lead the way.
Rafaela, Head of Business Development at Offsetra, welcome to the show, and please let us know what you're doing in this space as well.
Hi, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to share this panel with all of you. And Offsetra is a carbon offset provider, and we are specialized in blockchain. So we are thrilled to be part of this project and analyzing Cardano blockchain and measuring their impact on environment and giving them solutions to tackle climate change, climate issues. So basically, we work with B2B and B2C as well. So we decided to create a platform that would be easy for individuals and companies to offset their emissions. So such as a subscription channel. So you go to the website, you pay your subscription, and you offset your impact. So that's what we do. We have sustainable projects in Brazil, Honduras, Belize. So what we do, we fund pro-climate projects. So when you're knowing your carbon offset, your carbon footprint, you're also helping communities around the world.
Thank you, everyone, for telling us about your projects. This is so exciting, and I'm really excited to have you on here. So I'm going to move straight on to the next question. And what do you think needs to be changed in climate, the way that we're approaching everything that your project is doing, initiating, and tackling, and what your project is helping with? James, let me start with you, please.
Sure. The biggest contributor to climate issues is where we get our power from, and taking energy from fossil fuels is got to finish, and the quicker we can accelerate away from that, the better. And as I said, the biggest challenge that we have at the moment is trying to fund renewable energy projects. So Libra Project is really not looking at the big projects that are out there being done by the likes of NG and Shell and BP. We're looking at the small projects that are overlooked. We're looking at the ones that will make the most impact as well, because there's many rural communities that are just being bypassed and not being served. And there's not enough renewable energy going out to them. So we're picking up those projects and fixing that solution. When it comes to climate change, we've just got to, the whole world's just got to get behind renewable energy as quickly as possible. I can't say that any clearer.
That's amazing. James, really quick follow-up question. What do you think are some of the most, valuable use or new energy sources that you think, the ones that are really going to make the biggest impact?
The biggest impact is obviously solar, wind, and looking at those. But also people always forget there's geothermal, which is a brilliant source of power if it's available in your area. Also, biomass can be used in a very sustainable way. And hydrogen in the future. There's lots of hydrogen technologies that people are talking about, and I think that's going to be a really hot subject over the next 10 years.
I want to go to Ferdinand there. You said biomass, and I know biomass is not plastics, but is there any way to make energy out of plastics? And tell me about what you think some of the biggest challenges are that the world is facing right now, and how your project is helping.
So we can make energy out of plastic, but that probably is the last thing you want to do with plastic, since plastic is recyclable, and when you don't need to make it into waste. So the moment you recycle plastic, you're bringing back raw materials back into the system. So when you burn plastic to create energy, you're actually aiding a linear system, which is not sustainable at all. We need to move to a circular system, a circular economy, where something that is waste needs to be brought back into the system, and this way we'll use less raw materials, and there's less strain on the earth as a whole. So you were asking what are the challenges that we are facing right now. So I see that we have two main challenges right now that lead to the waste problem that we see. One is that certain plastics do not have any value. For example, single-use or multi-layered plastic, the ones that we get our chips and our biscuits and chocolates in. So they have no value as such. And when there's no value, there is no incentive to collect and recycle this. And these are the kind of plastic that you normally see, in the landfills, in the oceans, floating around. So that is one issue. And another issue that we see in India is that there is no tracking of waste. What is the waste in the system? What is the waste coming in the system? What is the waste that is being recycled? And what is the waste that goes out of the system into landfills? There is no tracking of this. So a degree of formalization is required in the waste ecosystem of India.
That's awesome. That's a really good point that you made, that you recycle plastic. So that's like probably the last thing you want to do is try to create energy out of that kind of waste. But Rafaela, please tell us a little bit about how your project is helping and the changes that we need right now.
Yeah, so first of all, what I think we need at the moment, it's a long-term plan to educate the society about environmental impact. So the carbon emissions, they're always being mentioned, but we need also to educate people about the carbon handprint, how they can help and also increase positivity around everything related to climate change. So our project is also helping the new generation. So when we're talking about United Nations Sustainable Development, we are also talking about partnership and also future generations. And that's why we created opportunity to pay a carbon offsetting with crypto. So at the moment, the challenge is to bring these two worlds together, crypto native and also sustainability natives to work in a common goal. So what we do, we try to bring these two worlds together and offset NFTs, offset flights, offset every type of carbon emission related to the challenges that we are facing. So we are forward thinking that teenagers, they will come to us and offset their arts and also art galleries. So we know the impact and then we offset them. So that's actually something that we are helping the society to understand and also the social benefits behind them.
Rafaela, I just want to have a follow-up question. Do you think that crypto is a easy-to-use technology so everybody can get involved? Do you think this is more of what you're proposing is more of a P2P, P2B, a B2B sort of solution?
We are actually covering both sides, B2B and B2C. So our supporters, initial supporters, they were NFT artists. And now we are seeing blockchain companies as Cardano reaching us to analyze their impact. So we are talking to engineers, we are understanding where the mining pools are and understanding the whole impact and giving them a roadmap how to find solutions. So we are covering both sides at the moment.
Ian, what your project is helping with?
Well, fundamentally, I personally believe that we should stop seeing nature as a pool of resources to exploit, but as a home that we live in and we invest in. The same way that you would invest a whole lot of money to take care of your home because it's something that you live in, I think that much more capital in this world should end off making nature, the home we live in, a far better place for us and for the future generations. I find it particularly strange that in a world of excess capital, that so little of it, less than 0.1% of it, probably finds its way into nature and nature-backed investments. And I founded Ecofolio to basically to try to correct this mismatch in the general scheme of things. I'll just finish off by saying that I think this is a nature and nature-backed assets is a field that decentralized finance and blockchain can really lead traditional finance, because I don't think the answers are going to be coming from traditional finance.
Excellent, excellent. You know, this goes great into my next question over here, and I'm going to keep with you, Rafaela. I apologize. You're just going to be, center stage for a while here. But is that one of your major challenges? I want to know what your major challenges for your companies are. And is one of the major challenges is just trying to adapt and use and learn about this new technologies to create these new futures, or are there different challenges that maybe we're overlooking?
So the first challenge I would mention is that we are a startup. And because we are in crypto space, we can face challenges that probably regular companies, they don't face at the moment because it's a new industry. So this is the first challenge. The second challenge would be education. So people, they don't understand what is carbon offsetting, and then easily they backlash. So that's why I keep talking about education, because NFT artists, for instance, they want to make a positive impact, but at the same time, they're suffering backlash because they're into blockchain technology. So these two challenges would be major. So that's why I think the solution would be a long-term plan to educate people so we don't waste time like explaining what it is, but also just fundraising projects and being positive about renewable energy and ecosystem regeneration, for instance.
James, I want to go to you with that question, the same question. What are the major challenges that you're facing? And I just want to see if you can kind of maybe piggyback on her answer a little bit. She said blockchain backlash, and you know what? That's a real thing. It's a real thing to be in the blockchain space, and people just not take your work seriously because you're using this technology that has some kind of I guess like cloud over its head because of whatever narrative that's being put out there. Do you agree with that? And then what challenge are you seeing?
It's a huge challenge, and when you look at, I think people have forgotten about impact. So people go into blockchain typically to try and make money, to try and make quick money, and there really has got to be a mind shift switch that people go in and look at the actual underlying assets and the impact they are having on the planet, and not just try and go into something for a quick fix of money. And that's one of the biggest changes I think that the blockchain community has got to get over. There's a lot of talk and hype out there, and people buying NFTs to hopefully get some gain. But how's that helping the world? How's that helping our environment? How's that helping climate change? How's that fixing our problems and solutions? And this is one of the reasons why we're really keen to work with Cardano, because their vision of impact of creating an ecosystem that will help the planet there's no other blockchain company out there that's doing what Cardano is doing. So my hat's off to Charles and the team. They're doing fantastic work.
Excellent. You said something there, and I just want to expand on that a little bit. You said, how's that helping when you're talking about people making, say, NFTs and looking for Lambos and moons and gains? Do you think that is a just a testing of the technology, to make sure that this is something that works, that we can implement it into the I would say the more serious business that we want to do when it comes to climate change?
I think when it comes to climate change, there's a certain amount of, it's not that exciting for starters when you're talking about renewable energy, carbon offsetting and other things. It doesn't gather people's attention and that excitement. So we've got to do a certain amount of maybe gamification of climate change to try and engage people better and bring people, and certainly bring the next generation into this space. They understand. You've got one side of the next generation that understands the impact of climate change, and they're out there. They are they're protesting. They want to see action, but they don't necessarily see the fit with blockchain. That I don't. They've looked at blockchain and already said this is bad. This is not efficient. This is damaging our planet. We should avoid it. But maybe they don't know about the things that are there trying to positively impact the environment and create social change as well. So there is a lack of education there.
Thank you for that, Ferdinand. I want to come to you because I want to just, Rafaela said, I think one of the best statements, and I just got to keep picking back off of that, is the blockchain backlash. And, being in India, there is a lot of stigma when it comes to blockchain tech. The government has actively, moved against blockchain in some aspects and then kind of pulled it back. There's been this ebb and flow in India. Do you also feel blockchain backlash is one of the challenges in your initiative? And if not, what are your challenges?
I think there was not a blockchain backlash, more to do with cryptocurrency as such. And I think in the past few months, there has been a huge inflow of funds into the crypto market from India, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, the government did take a step towards blocking out cryptocurrency as a whole, banning it, if I might say. It has pulled back and said we are open to exploring what blockchain is and what cryptocurrency is right now.
Is there other challenges that you're facing as well that you want to mention?
Yes.
And I guess also, how is Cardano helping?
Yeah, let me come to that. So one challenge that we do face is the waste system in India is not formalized. So there's a lot of informality. There's a lot of gray area involved. The waste system works in the shadow, and the project is trying to bring this whole system into the light by formalizing the whole system as such. This involves, tracking waste, seeing where the waste comes from, and where it goes. It deals with the traceability and accountability of plastic waste as such. We do this by giving invoices, receipts, weighbridge bills, etc. So that it's documented, and we are currently moving to get this whole system into a digital platform that can be accessed by all the stakeholders in the system. And one of the complications that we have right now is there are multiple stakeholders. We have the government of India, and India has 28 states with their own little hierarchy of governance system. Then there are private sector donors, then there are recyclers, and there are citizens who are the waste producers. And on top of this, we have the most important stakeholder, which is the informal waste workers, the ones who actually collect the waste from from the ground. And how to bring all these people onto a single platform, so people are still connected. People know what's happening. The government knows what's happening, and we can track the waste as it moves through this whole system. So that's where I'm hoping we can work with Cardano and get use blockchain like a universal ledger system with all the stakeholders on one platform.
I just want to ask you a follow-up question to that, because I'm a little skeptical when you say tracking and transparency. Do people really want transparency? Does the government, does companies, does everybody, and all, I guess stakeholders in this process want transparency? And if they don't, how are you going to make them want transparency?
So we do need transparency. The government of India is actively working towards this, and moreover, in India we have now implemented extended producer responsibility, which means that the brand owners and the producers of plastic in India need to pay for the amount of plastic waste that they bring into India. For example, there's a company that has a plastic product that it's selling in India, and it sells 100 kilograms of it. They have to pay the government of India enough money to handle 100 kilograms of plastic waste produced by their product. So that is EPR, or extended producer responsibility. And to actively implement this, we need tracking, we need traceability, we need accountability.
Love it. I'm gonna go on to the next question based off of that. You said accountability, because that sounds like an ideal world sort of situation, is to everybody have accountability in their process. And Ferdinand, I want you to continue with that. With just to wrap this conversation up, is we've been through a lot of different things right now when it talks to what you guys are doing, ways you want to see, the challenges that you're facing, and then I want to just see the ideal world that you are envisioning when your project, and how it's going to all wrap into the Cardano ecosystem, and just a better world for us all.
All right. So accountability is just one aspect of what I see in the world, but overall, right now our system is a linear one. No, it's a straight, finite, unidirectional line. There is no connectivity. There's no sustainability in that. So, if you ask me what is my ideal world, what is my utopia, that would be a circular system, or that's how the Earth looks right now, right? The planet is circle. A circular system is a connected system, and that is what probably we need to work towards. A system level approach is the way we can address the change that we need to see in the waste management sector of India or even the world. So that is how I would say it would be the perfect system.
Ian, I want to know what your major challenges for your companies are.
I believe as a pioneer in nature-backed stablecoins, probably I had two big problems that were interrelated. The first problem was the lack of regulatory clarity and acceptance. I've spoken to many regulators ever since 2017, and very few of them actually had the courage to see the sense in creating a whole new category of assets and investable assets, particularly for institutional investors. This was very counterintuitive for me. And partly the reason that I'm in Luxembourg is that the Luxembourg regulator has an infrastructure and also the willingness to take impact finance forward. Most of the impact funds in the world, including those by our fellow panelists at the United Nations, are domiciled here in Luxembourg, and this is a sector they'd like to promote. Related to this, I think this is probably where I'll end, is investor confidence and acceptance. I believe that we need high quality assets which do great impact, climate impact in the world. And investors need to trust that their money is safe and that the structure is transparent.
Excellent. Rafaela, I want to come to you and just look at the ideal world. What are we building here that's going to be, like, what is your dream at the end of all this? And how does Cardano wrap into all of this?
So on behalf of the company, I would say that our ideal world would be that every person online and offline, they do their own due diligence to understand the environmental impact of their lifestyle, their technology transactions, and also that everyone is on a common goal towards a transition that it's easy. Okay, we are now using fossil fuels and we are actually helping and asking, begging for people to understand that we need renewable energy. So in our ideal world would be that we don't need to try to convince that climate change is real. We want to find solutions, not only keep educating or going back and forth, telling them this is real, but everyone making a positive impact, everyone helping to fundraise projects such as sustainable projects everywhere. And Cardano is now an incredible partner because we are going to analyze their entire blockchain network and give them the solutions. And I'm sure this is going to be great. So this is our ideal world, that everyone works together towards a positive impact to tackle climate change.
If you look at investments in forests traditionally in traditional finance, they're traditionally invested in by family offices and pension funds. And the reasons for that is that they see the merits of owning such virtuous assets, and they tend to allocate up to anywhere between 1 to 5% of their portfolios to nature and nature-backed assets. My dream is to be able to do enough financial innovation that forests, oceans, natural capital, the things that keep us alive are appropriate in just 1 to 5% of almost every asset portfolio in the world. I think that would do it justice.
James, we're going to close it off with you, and I feel that there's going to be some magic coming there from your ideal world. How Cardano is going to be, used in this ideal world, and you know what? I want to hear, James. I have a challenge for you, really quick. Yeah, let us all walk away with so much positivity that we're going to go out there and help make that change as well.
Sure. Okay. So my ideal world is to get away from the current setup that companies have. So if you look at a typical energy company that's out there, they will do 4 financial reports per year back to their investors. They will do 1 environmental study per year. And by the time that's released to the public, it's 18 months out of date. I want to see live reporting. I want to see data being collected at source through IoT devices being hashed into blockchain, and that blockchain holding that ledger of impact being created at source. Now, the ideal world is that every energy company starts to adopt this technology so they can be held accountable for the damage they are doing. That's what I want to. That's my ideal world of what I want to see. And Libra Project is already creating that ecosystem. We hope to be developing it with Cardano, because IOG are fantastic at building this sort of architecture, and it's really positive with what they're doing.
Excellent, James. That is great, and I love the fact about accountability. And I want to say thank you, everybody, to all of our panelists, from Ian to Rafaela to Ferdinand and James, for coming on. Cardano, thank you to our hosts in IOHK for putting this on. And I have a very positive outlook for the future. And my name is Matthew Deemer, and I thank you all.
Thank you, Matthew, for this amazing moderation, and to all our panelists for the amazing work which they are doing. We are thrilled to support their work with our technology. This is really very inspiring, especially in the context. Your work, and your dream are reminding me of where we are with the meta crisis. We are in all this situation because we do not have a solution, because investors do not trust the new technologies like blockchain, because they do not trust the new companies, and we are in the middle of a meta crisis. One thing which is very relevant here is that the meta crisis is a wicked problem. That means we cannot actually point to the causes. So what we can point to is the so-called generator functions, which are interdependent. And I spoke about this also in my keynote at the summit. I just wanted to remind everyone about this, that exponential tech can be for good, but not necessarily. It can just amplify the bad situation in which we are now, like the current financing systems are doing. We do not invest in what we should invest. We invest in things which are polluting more, which are destroying the environment more. So Ian's point is definitely right on. We have all this has to change, yes? And in order to change, we need so-called new attractors in order to find this global coordination for good. And here, technology, and we have blockchain accountability, exactly what was the main takeaway from this session. Front and center. So blockchain accountability can really be very useful for us. Of course, also artificial intelligence and other technologies can be useful. But yes, there are many takeaways, and I'm going to go through them right now. To wrap up this session, there are a few takeaways for all of us. It's clear that each of us has to do their part in it. We need accountability. This is the keyword which I'm taking away in the first place. For our actions, for whatever we do in the world, for our companies, how we position them in order to be environmentally friendly. Always keep an eye on the measures of environmental friendliness. We need new models of impact investing that are departing from the greenwash. As you have seen with the Libra Project and Ecofolio, they are doing their part in that. We need education, as Offsetra was mentioning, and we really need measures for carbon offsetting. We need to be accountable by metrics, by measurements. We need also a shift in behavior. The shift in behavior comes, of course, with education, and it will be towards that accountability which we all strive for. Blockchains have to be properly designed, not to destroy the environment more, but to support the work of these entrepreneurs, which are actually pushing to shift the world's economy towards environmental friendliness. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take the lessons with us and apply them. There is no time to wait anymore. Thank you.